Amelia Carter stepped through the double mahogany doors and let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating pale oak floors and casting prisms off a crystal chandelier. She smoothed the skirt of her silk dress and raised a flute of champagne. "Welcome to my new home," she announced, voice bright as the spring air. Beside her, Priya Patel, her college roommate and lifelong partner in crime, whooped and clinked glasses. "To your $2 million masterpiece," Priya toasted, eyes glittering. Lucas Gonzalez, her architect friend, leaned against a smooth marble column. "I knew those vaulted ceilings would change your life," he said with a grin. Amelia let her gaze drift over the art nook she'd insisted on, the built-in bookshelves stocked with childhood favorites, the kitchen island wide enough for dancing. Every detail had been a sacrifice: ramen dinners, weekend shifts, moving in with roommates while she chased down contractors. But tonight, it felt worth it. She spun in a circle. "Go ahead, explore. This house is as much yours as mine." Her friends filtered inside, laughter echoing off the walls. A sudden hush fell over the foyer as Rebecca Carter burst through the front door, 4 kids in tow. Emma, 12, clung to her hand. Noah, 10, darted toward the staircase. Lily, 8, trailed shyly. Max, 6, scrunched his nose at the marble floor. Rebecca's voice rang sharp. "Surprise! I decided to move in. The kids need space, right?" She dropped her keys on the console, her smile wide but brittle. Priya stiffened. Lucas's jaw tightened. Amelia's flute wobbled in her hand. Behind Rebecca, Margaret Carter appeared, napkin in hand. "Children always need more room than grown-ups," she said softly, glancing at Amelia as though they'd spoken of this beforehand. Amelia's pulse thrummed. She set down her glass. "Funny," she replied, voice calm. "I thought this was my housewarming party." She swept a hand at the ornate staircase. "Care to tell everyone which rooms you've claimed?" The cousins froze, eyes shifting between sisters. Rebecca's grin slipped, Margaret's napkin balled in her fist. A tense silence stretched. Amelia realized her heart was pounding, but so was her certainty. Boundaries began now. The glow of Amelia's laptop was the only light in the study. Empty ramen containers were stacked beside a sea of sticky notes. Interest rates, closing costs, contractor bids. She rubbed her temples and took a sip of weak coffee. Mortgage calculators pinged with each keystroke. Monthly payment, $8,500, the screen read. Her chest tightened, but she refused to second-guess the numbers. Every spreadsheet row was a promise she'd made to herself. "I can do this."
She sifted through a folder labeled Amelia's House Fund, bank statements showing her savings slowly inched toward that $200,000 down payment. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jordan, her real estate attorney. "Reminder, deadline for docs is 9 a.m. tomorrow. Almost there." Amelia exhaled, stirred another spoonful of instant noodles, and whispered, "Almost there." The hum of the refrigerator was a lullaby. Nights like this had replaced nights out, movie marathons, date nights. That sacrifice was the price of owning her dream. Meanwhile, on a sunny afternoon 2 years earlier, Rebecca Carter lounged on her couch, phone pressed to her ear. The kids bounced around her, coloring books and building blocks strewn on the floor. "Hi, Mom. Remember that car loan I told you about? The one for the bigger van? I was thinking, could you co-sign? Rates are killer right now." Rebecca's voice was casual, her tone light, as if asking for a favor after a barbecue. Across town, Margaret Carter glanced up from her morning crossword. "Of course, sweetheart," she purred, already dialing the bank. She'd always swooped in whenever Rebecca hit a bump. Back in the study, Amelia paused her flashback with a shudder, her mother's eager, "Of course," echoing in her mind. That could have been me! Later that same afternoon, Rebecca opened the door to her new rental apartment. 2 bedrooms, cramped kitchen. "Kids, come see." She swept an arm through the space. "I scored Mom's help again. You'll love it here." Amelia remembered reading about that move. Rebecca's boxes arriving in the back of Margaret's SUV, each one unplanned, each one left to someone else's mercy. Back in the present, Amelia closed her laptop with a decisive click. The contrast burned in her chest. Years of silent struggle versus a lifetime of bailouts. Her pride flickered into something sharper, a hard, simmering resentment. Boundaries weren't just nice to have. They were essential. Morning light filtered through linen curtains as Rebecca spread the glossy floor plan across the marble kitchen island. Emma traced her fingertip over the master suite. "This should be mine. Look at that view." Noah jumped in, sliding a stick figure sketch into bedroom 3. "I call this one. It's perfect for my skateboard ramp." Lily tucked her hair behind her ear. "I want the one with the cozy window seat. Reading nook, right?" Max perched on a stool, pointed at the smallest room beside the laundry. "This little one's mine. I'll build a fort in here." Rebecca beamed, nodding at each declaration like they were royal edicts. "All right, that's settled. Mom, you can take the guest room. And Amelia, well, I know you love surprises." Amelia hovered at the threshold, half-smile plastered on. She watched the children brandish crayons on the prince, turning her home into a theme park for cousins. Her pulse throbbed.
Her temples. Every snip of paper, every whispered giggle felt like a pinprick to her hard-earned sanctuary. She cleared her throat. Actually, her voice was steady but icy. The island's marble gleamed beneath the map, reflecting Rebecca's triumphant grin. Amelia stepped forward and laid a single post-it over the entrance to the study. Off limits. Rebecca looked up, eyebrows raised. "Really?" The kids clustered behind her, confused. Amelia gave a slow nod, chest tight. Without another word, she turned and swept out of the kitchen, her boundary drawn in neon. Amelia's study door closed with a soft click. She sank into her leather chair, heart racing. The floor plan lay abandoned on the island, but its ghost haunted her mind. Her phone lit on the desk. Fingers trembling, she opened her messaging app and tapped out. "Help me not lose my mind or my house?" Seconds felt like hours until Priya's reply pinged back. "I'm on my way. Breathe. We'll strategize." Amelia leaned back, pressing her palms into her eyes. The study's hush wrapped around her, the mahogany shelves, the single amber lamp, the silence she'd paid for. For a moment, she let herself collapse into it, safe behind these walls at least, until the next invasion. She typed again. "Thank God. Need coffee and war plan." Outside, the house stirred with 4 little hearts plotting their takeover. Inside, Amelia braced for her own comeback. Margaret Carter pours 2 steaming mugs of dark roast in the sunlit breakfast nook. The antique china clinks softly as Amelia settles opposite her. Outside, hydrangeas fan blue petals against the kitchen window. Margaret lifts her cup. "Children always need more room than grown-ups," she says gently, meeting Amelia's eyes. She sips, as if tasting her own words. Amelia presses her palms on the table. "Mom, I've been wondering, when I was growing up, did I ever need space? You never offered me the same." Her voice is quiet, but insistent. Margaret's brow furrows. She sets down her mug. "Sweetheart, your sister. She's always been so vulnerable. 4 little ones. I just worried." Amelia leans forward, heart thudding. "What about when I was 9 and I begged to switch schools because the bullies followed me? Or when I needed more privacy at 16? There was never room for my problems." Silence stretches. Margaret stares at her hands, rimmed with age spots. "I'm sorry, Amelia. I didn't know." Amelia's gaze softens. "You did know. You chose not to." Margaret's throat works. She opens her mouth, then closes it, lost for words. Later that afternoon, Amelia retreats upstairs to the attic. A single bulb swings overhead, dust motes drifting through a high window. Beneath a stack of moving boxes, she unearths a leather-bound album. She opens it and freezes. A faded photo slides from between the pages. Rebecca at 6, front and center in a frilly birthday dress, beaming at the camera. Behind her, 4-year-old Amelia peeks shyly around her sister's elbow, half in shadow. Amelia traces the edge of the print. In the picture, Mom kneels beside Rebecca, arms sweeping protectively, Amelia tucked out of sight. The crackle of the attic lamp seems louder now. A wave of something like grief and anger rushes through her. Gently, she closes the album and tucks the photo into her pocket. It's small, but it carries the weight of every time she felt invisible. Downstairs, voices echo. Amelia steadies herself against the attic railing, clutching that photo like evidence, proof that Mother's favor is real, and it's time she reclaims her own place. Mid-morning light danced across the living room as Amelia intercepted Rebecca by the grand piano. "Let me show you the rest of the house," she offered, voice smooth as the marble underfoot. Rebecca's kids tumbled behind, excitement lighting their chatter.
Amelia led them through the sunroom. "Perfect for summer breakfasts," she noted, then into the chef's kitchen. "I know how picky you are about countertop space," she said, pointing out the oversized island. Emma's eyes widened. Lily ran her fingers along the stone edge. Noah eyed the stainless steel fridge. Finally, they reached the heavy oak door of the study. Amelia paused, one hand on the knob. The others leaned in. She smiled coolly. "This room is off limits, for privacy reasons. I hope you understand." Her eyes met Rebecca's. Rebecca's smile flickered. "Privacy?" she repeated, glancing at her mother, who hovered awkwardly. The 4 children craned to see inside. "Sure," Rebecca said, sounding cautious. "Privacy's important." Amelia stepped back, folding her arms. "I'll catch up with you all downstairs." She guided her friends away before Rebecca could protest. Behind them, the study door remained firmly closed, Amelia's unspoken line drawn in oak. Long after the household had drifted to sleep, Amelia slipped into the study's shadowy calm. She'd picked the lock earlier, just enough to leave it intact, then relock it when she was done. Now she sat at her desk, laptop open, the only sound a soft hum from the printer. A quick call to Jordan Lee, her attorney, confirmed the plan. "I need certified copies of the mortgage documents for both my share and my sister's. Overnight delivery, please." Amelia tapped her pen against the desktop. Pulse study. She scanned the first set of printouts. Her name, the loan amount, interest rate. Then the second page, Rebecca Carter, listed as co-owner and co-borrower. Amelia's lips curved into a quiet grin. She already held the power. Her sister's share belonged to her now. Stacking the papers into a neat pile, she slipped them into a manila envelope stamped "Confidential." Beneath the lamp's warm glow, Amelia thought of Rebecca mapping out bedrooms like a conqueror. Soon her silent counterattack would be more than symbolic. She powered down the laptop and straightened the documents. As the study door clicked shut behind her, Amelia's whisper drifted through the dark hallway. Game on. Chapter 6. Collateral Damage. Scene 1. A spilled juice nest triggers a whispered fight between Rebecca and her oldest child. Amelia watches, bittersweet. Scene 2. Rebecca corners Amelia in the kitchen. Tension erupts. Amelia bites back with a calm, scathing remark. Sunlight slanted through the blinds as Amelia settled into the leather chair opposite Jordan Lee's polished mahogany desk. Jordan, crisp in navy suit, slid 2 stacks of papers across the surface. One titled, "The Carter Family Mortgage Agreement," the other, "Assignment of Interest." Jordan tapped the first stack. "This document finalizes your sister's share. Once you sign here and here, the co-borrower status transfers to you entirely." She offered Amelia a pen. Heart pounding with controlled excitement, Amelia flipped to the signature page. The number stared back. Rebecca's name set to disappear, replaced by Amelia's sole ownership. Beneath the legalese, she breathed deep. With a steady hand, she inked her name on every line. Jordan smiled. "Done. I'll file these by tomorrow. Congratulations, you're now the only borrower." Amelia tucked the pen away, letting a slow grin spread. Revenge didn't have to roar. Sometimes it simply clicked into place, one signature at a time. Later that afternoon, back in her study, Amelia laid out a clean contract draft on her desk. Titled Rent-to-Own Agreement, it balanced fairness with firm boundaries. Monthly option fee, 5% of fair market rent credited toward at-home equity. Lease term, 24 months, with one 12-month extension at market rate. Maintenance and repairs, Rebecca responsible for interior upkeep, Amelia for structural. Early purchase option, full buyout price fixed at today's valuation, $2 million. Default clause, grace period and mediation before any late fees. She's called a note in the margin. Allows Rebecca dignity, protects my investment.
Amelia called up Priya on video. "Read this. Does it sound humane?" Priya scanned the screen. "It's brilliant. You give her a path to ownership, but you're safe if she flakes." Amelia exhaled, tapping the desk. "Exactly. No scorched earth, just clear lines." She printed 2 copies, slid them into crisp folders, and stacked them beside her laptop. Revenge, she thought, could be generous. Boundaries didn't have to break bonds. They could rebuild respect. Twilight draped the garden in lavender as guests gathered around a long farmhouse table under a canopy of fairy lights. Tall taper candles flickered between bowls of peonies, their scent mingling with rosemary roasted lamb on white porcelain plates. A soft cello quartet provided the soundtrack, each note floating through the warm summer air. Margaret Carter, glowing in a pale blue wrap dress, rose with a glass of Bordeaux. "To Amelia," she toasted, voice proud and slightly breathless. "May this home bring you all the joy you deserve." Forks paused mid-bite. Glasses chimed. A gentle buzz of congratulations rippled through the circle. Priya beamed, Lucas offered an approving nod, neighbors clapped. Amelia let her smile stretch, heart hammering. Music swelled, and for a moment she savored their goodwill. Then she slipped from her seat, every eye following her, as she gathered 2 thick envelopes from the head of the table. The candles flickered brighter, as if anticipating what came next. Silence softened the edges of the party. Amelia approached Rebecca, who sat poised between Emma and Noah, their forks idle. She laid one envelope before Margaret, the other before Rebecca. A hush fell so deep, the cello trio faltered on a single note. Clearing her throat, Amelia met her sister's wide eyes. "Surprise! Your mortgage is paid off." She slid the first stack of documents toward Rebecca. Rebecca's hand shook as she picked up the top sheet. Murmurs rippled around the table. Margaret's hand flew to her heart. Rebecca blinked at the stamped filing showing Amelia as sole borrower. Amelia's voice remained calm, warm. "Now, let's talk rent." She tapped the second envelope. Inside, the rent-to-own contract, neatly outlined with clear terms. Emma gasped. Noah leaned forward. Margaret's napkin fell forgotten to her lap. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. Then Rebecca's voice, small, tremulous. You did this for me?" Amelia offered her sister a steady look. "I did it for all of us, so this house becomes a home on terms we all respect." A breath passed. Then Priya let out a soft clap. Lucas offered an approving nod. The guests leaned in, curious. Rebecca lifted her eyes to Amelia's awe and new understanding mingling in their gaze. In that glow of candlelight and softened cello, boundaries had been redrawn, and, against every expectation, family ties felt stronger for it. Rebecca's lips pressed into a hard line as she stared at the rent-to-own folder. "You can't just buy me out," she spat, voice cracking. Her chair scraped against the stone patio. Emma and Noah froze mid-sip. Lily and Max clutched each other's hands. Margaret's shawl rustled as she rose to intervene. Amelia remained seated, calm as the summer night. She folded her hands on the table. "I did buy you out," she said softly, "legally and transparently. And I gave you an option: fair market rent, equity credits, path to ownership." Rebecca's throat bobbed. "You think this contract changes anything between us?" Her eyes flicked around the table at the guests, as if searching for backup. Amelia's gaze stayed steady. "I think it restores respect. I'm not your ATM, and I'm not your enemy." A gust of wind rattled the fairy lights overhead. Rebecca's chest heaved. She looked at her mother. Margaret's face was unreadable, a tight mask of conflicting loyalties.
Margaret set a gentle hand on Rebecca's arm. "Rebecca, darling, Amelia's gesture is considerate. She's not punishing you. She's giving structure." Her voice trembled between sisters. Rebecca jerked away. "Structure? You always gave her structure. I got excuses." She whirled on Amelia. "How am I supposed to feel grateful?" Amelia stood and leveled her voice. "Start by admitting you need boundaries." She drew a slow breath. "If you can't meet these terms, then yes, you'll have to move out." The air thickened. Emma leaned forward, eyes wide. "Mom, is Aunt Amelia serious?" Margaret drew in a breath and addressed the kids. "Sometimes love looks like rules. Your aunt worked hard for this home." Noah frowned.
So if Rebecca misses a payment, she loses everything? Amelia knelt beside them. We'll work with you. A 5-day grace period, family mediation before any penalties. Her tone was firm but fair. Lily whispered, I thought this was a party. Max hugged her leg. Margaret cleared her throat. Let's take time to review the terms and talk it through as a family. She met each daughter's eyes in turn. We'll figure this out. As the adults gathered the papers, the children exchanged looks. Curiosity mingled with relief. The power had shifted. For the first time, everyone knew the rules of engagement. Respect, they sensed, was no longer optional. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen's bay window as Amelia set down plates of avocado toast, berry compote, and freshly squeezed orange juice. The farmhouse table glowed under a simple linen runner. Rebecca bustled in from the back porch, balancing a pitcher of iced tea and 4 mismatched mugs. Morning, everyone, Amelia said, sliding a plate toward Emma, who offered a polite smile instead of last month's widened grin of surprise. Lily poured syrup for Max and Noah, their pancakes stacked just so. There was an easy rhythm now. No whispered plotting over floor plans, no awkward silences at meal's end, just the clink of cutlery and soft conversation. Rebecca passed Amelia the tea. Rent went through, she said, voice steady. Thank you for the reminder text. Her eyes met Amelia's over the table. No resentment there, only quiet acknowledgement. Amelia nodded, pouring herself a mug. I appreciate how you handled the lease renewal, too. It makes things smoother for all of us. Margaret hovered nearby, wiping a dish. I've never seen them so settled, she murmured, nodding at the 4 cousins happily trading stories about their weekend soccer game. Priya and Lucas, seated at the table's end, exchanged pleased smiles. Lucas winked at Amelia. Her peaceful sanctuary was back, only this time built on mutual respect. Later that afternoon, Amelia wandered through the house, straightening throw pillows and aligning candles on the mantel. Her footsteps were light on the polished floors she'd fought to make her own. She paused by the study door, still locked, still hers alone, and felt a swell of pride. In the foyer, the sparkle of late afternoon sun lit the crystal chandelier. Amelia lifted her hand to the brass doorknob, turned the key, and stepped outside onto the front porch. She closed the door firmly behind her. Leaning against the cool wood, she inhaled deeply, the scent of honeysuckle drifting from the garden, the distant laughter of her family carried on the breeze. Boundaries had never felt so liberating. Amelia's shoulders relaxed. She'd won more than a house. She'd reclaimed her self-respect, and in doing so, built a home where love and limits could coexist. She let out a contented sigh and stepped forward, ready for whatever came next.